There are lots of different types of po' boy sandwiches, from roast beef to shredded barbecue. But today, Bryan's going to show us how to make the classic shrimp po' boy.
That's right, and shrimp po' boys are probably my favorite sandwich in the world.
So I hope you know what you're doing then.
You know, I've messed around with it a fair amount, so I've got it down pat. And you get this crispy, slightly spicy shrimp and remoulade, which is basically mayonnaise on steroids, fortified with horseradish and hot sauce.
And it's a messy sandwich. I know you can rate a po' boy by how many napkins you use when you eat it.
Yeah, it should be dripping down your arm onto your shirt. We're gonna start by making our own Creole seasoning blend. You could buy a Creole seasoning blend from the grocery store, but oftentimes they're very salty. And when we make it at home, we're able to control the amount of salt that we put into it. And this one's gonna make about 3/4 of a cup, and we're only gonna need 2 tablespoons for our recipe, but this is great to throw in all kinds of dishes and on grilled meats especially. I have 5 tablespoons of Hungarian paprika, 2 tablespoons of garlic powder.
I can really smell that garlic powder.
That's good. A tablespoon of dried thyme, a tablespoon of cayenne pepper, a tablespoon of celery salt, a tablespoon of table salt, and a tablespoon of ground black pepper. So we're only going to use 2 tablespoons of this for our flour mixture. So we can pull that out right now. And we'll transfer that to 2 cups of all-purpose flour. And to that, we're going to add a 1/4 cup of yellow cornmeal. Now the cornmeal is important because it gives the shrimp a little bit of texture once it's fried. Okay, now we found that a lot of times if we were just to take the shrimp, dip it in an egg, and then dip it in the flour, the coating would fall off the shrimp. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a little bit of a batter. So we have 4 whole eggs here. And to that, we're gonna add 1/2 cup of our flour mixture. Now we can turn our attention to the shrimp. Now these are 31-40 shrimp, meaning they're 31 to 40 per pound, and we have 1 pound of them here. So we're gonna begin by peeling and deveining them. So the way I like to peel and devein a shrimp is I like to invert my knife so the blade is facing up. Then I hold the shrimp in my hands like that, and I just about 1/8 of an inch from the top of the shrimp kind of come in with the tip of the knife and start sliding it and wedging my knife upwards a little bit at a time. You almost want to move the shrimp around the tip of the blade, not force the blade into the shrimp. And oftentimes, if there is a vein to remove, it'll stick to the knife and you can just peel it and wipe it on the side. So then I've got the shell in my hand. I can just kind of peel off. And then to remove the tail, you want to squeeze right at the base of the tail to kind of force that meat out.
You wiggle it a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so all the shrimp is peeled. And again, this is 1 pound of shrimp, and that'll make 4 sandwiches. So you'll get anywhere between 9 and 10 shrimp per sandwich.
Not skimpy.
No, these are big sandwiches. Okay, so we're gonna start by working with half of the shrimp at a time. We're gonna hit it into the dry mixture, and we're gonna take it from the dry mixture and put it into the batter and then back into the dry.
So, it's a little 2-step.
2-step po' boy. And we're only working with half the shrimp at a time because we don't wanna oversaturate this flour mixture. So it'll introduce too much water to it. Just kind of shake off the excess flour. Okay, so all the shrimp's in there, so I'll take my wet hand here and I'll just kind of toss the shrimp in the batter, and then we go right back into the flour mixture. And we'll just lightly toss those in the flour, and we'll transfer them to our rim baking sheet. This shrimp is a little bit more wet than it was when it came right out of that bowl, so we don't want to add too much of this battered shrimp to the flour mixture because then we just create
2 batters.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Julia, we're gonna finish breading this shrimp here. Then we're gonna wrap the tray in plastic wrap and throw it in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes. And that time is gonna really allow the batter to stick to the shrimp.
Sounds good.
And I might also wash my hands.
Yeah, I was thinking you might want to do that.
All right, now we're ready for my favorite part of the sandwich of Cajun life. This is remoulade, and remoulade is just souped up mayonnaise. This is a very simple version of it, but they can get very complicated and very long ingredient lists. We're gonna start off with 2/3 cup of mayonnaise. To that, we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of horseradish, 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, 1 tablespoon of hot sauce, and 1/4 teaspoon of ground black pepper. The sandwich is all about hitting you upside the head with some flavor. Okay, and that sauce is done. So now we're going to do our vegetable garnish for the sandwich. Traditionally, a po' boy comes with lettuce, tomatoes, and some pickles. All right, so we're just gonna shred 2 cups of lettuce. And I saw this neat trick once on how to core a head of iceberg lettuce. Apparently, you just slam it down on the core.
Well, hey, actually, that kind of worked.
All right.
And then you kind of went in there and like took out its heart.
I don't want the shreds to be too long, so I'm gonna cut this portion in half, and we'll just finely shred this. And that's about 2 cups right there. And now we're going to slice 2 tomatoes. These are vine-ripened tomatoes. We're going to first twist off the stem there, and we're going to remove the core from the tomato. Now I like to do this by holding the tip of the knife with my thumb and my forefinger about a ½ inch away from the tip. So I go in right next to the core at about a 45-degree angle, and I stick my thumb right in that core, and then I just rotate the tomato, not really doing anything with the knife, but just holding it still, and I move the tomato around the core.
Very cool.
And we'll just slice the tomato into thin sandwich slices. Now before we are going to turn our attention to the shrimp, we're going to toast up our rolls here for our po' boys. Now traditionally in New Orleans and Louisiana, they have a very specific kind of bread. You know, it's crispy on the outside and pillowy, almost cottony on the inside. Outside of Louisiana, it's hard to find that exact roll, so you look around and see what you can find. It should just have a little bit of texture on the outside, but the inside should be nice and soft. You should be able to push it in with your thumb and leave a nice little thumbprint. Okay, so I'm gonna lay them out here, splayed open, and I'm gonna broil them on the upper middle rack, which is about 6 to 8 inches away from the broiler element, for just 1 to 2 minutes. You don't wanna walk away from it because they tend to burn very quickly under the broiler. Okay, so the shrimp has been chilling out in the refrigerator for 30 minutes. You can see that the coating looks a little bit more hydrated on it. And we have 2 quarts of vegetable oil here that I've heated to 375 degrees, and now we're ready to fry the shrimp. So I'm gonna do half a batch at a time, just so we don't overcrowd the oil.
Oh, I was going to say, I'm happy to see you using tongs. He always likes to tempt fate a little bit.
I like to do both, tongs and fingers.
Wow, you get your fingers dangerously close to that oil. Well, it's impressive.
It's actually safer to get your hands close to the oil rather than let the food drop from way up here, because that way you don't create the splatter.
It's safer to use tongs.
So that's about half the shrimp. We're going to let that fry until it's nice and golden brown. That takes about 4 minutes per batch. All right, you can see our shrimp are nice and golden brown, and they're starting to float to the top.
That's
which
gorgeous.
means they're cooked through.
Oh,
We're just going to transfer them to a paper towel lined plate.
look at those beauties.
So we're going to return the oil to 375 degrees and fry up the second batch of shrimp. And now we're ready to build some po' boys. You need to put an ample amount of remoulade on these. So this makes about approximately a 1/4 cup per sandwich.
Oh, you're not fooling around.
No, this is a heavy duty sandwich here.
1/4 cup per sandwich.
All right, and we'll go a little bit of lettuce and about 3 slices of tomato. Now a few pickles.
Oh, lots of pickles on mine.
Extra pickles.
Yes, please.
I also like a good number of pickles on mine. Now the star of the show, we have our shrimp. How many we could fit on here and how many we have available is 2 different stories. So
You fit as many as you can on. You're up to 8. That's pretty good.
So I like to give it a smash here with your right hand. And with your left hand, forcefully press down the top bun. I like to take on a wide-legged stance here.
To protect your shirt. It is perfection. The little bit of seasoning, you're right, with all that cayenne and black pepper, I thought that spice mixture was going to be too spicy, but it's pretty mild, all things considered.
Yeah, you get each one of them on the tongue, but you hit that hot oil, it really tempers down the spiciness.
Oh, and the mayonnaise with the Worcestershire and the horseradish.
Yeah. And you can get a little bit of the crunchiness from the cornmeal.
Bryan, this shrimp po' boy is something else.
It was my pleasure.
If you want to make an authentic shrimp po' boy sandwich, start by making a batch of Creole seasoning with paprika, cayenne, and celery salt. Combine some of that seasoning with flour and cornmeal, then combine some of that flour mixture with eggs. Dredge in flour 1 pound of shrimp, then the eggs, then the flour again, and let the coating sit before deep frying. To serve, layer the remoulade sauce, lettuce, tomatoes, pickles, and fried shrimp in a toasted sub roll. And don't forget the napkins. From Cook's Country, a bona fide recipe for shrimp po' boys. Well, I put her down. Shouldn't have done that.
You're in trouble now.
Thanks for watching Cook's Country from America's Test Kitchen. So what'd you think?
Leave a comment and let us know which recipes you're excited to make, or just say hi.
Now you can find links to today's recipes and reviews in the video description.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
See you later.
Alligator.